Occupation for housewife. You may be asking this for one of three potential reasons. Watch this video till the end and you'll get some good advice whether you're looking to fill out a form or get an extra income. If you want to find and nurture your ideal vocation, hobby, or occupation, subscribe to this channel, and if you like this video, remember to hit the like button below. Also, remember to hit the notification bell so you know whenever a new video comes up. So you want to know what to put as occupation for someone, maybe yourself, who happens to be a housewife. Or maybe you're looking to go back into the work market or the workplace after a long hiatus. Well, either way, watch this video till the end so you know exactly what to do to achieve your goals, even if that means doing more of your own detailed research. So let's go over the reasons. First reason you're searching for this is that you need to fill out a government form, or maybe you're applying for a visa and you need to know what to put as an occupation. So many forms and applications will ask you about your occupation, which can actually put you in a spot if you've been somewhat of a housewife or house husband for a while now. But before you go thinking, oh, I don't have a chance, if you're applying for a visa, for example, let me put things in perspective for you. In many countries, especially the most developed ones, what matters most to the authorities is not necessarily the income of an individual or the occupation that they have. What they care about is the income of a household. Why is that? And why am I even talking about economics right now? Well, let me explain. In any country or any economy, we have the whole government, we have private companies of all sizes, and then we have the smallest but most core type of organization of them all, and that's the family or the household. So when we say family, we really mean household or people who live under the same roof. Why is this important? Because more than income, really what we care about is the quality of life of individuals. Think about it. Maybe you could live by yourself making $50,000 a year, and that will be okay. Or you could live only you and your spouse, each of you making $50,000 and having a household income of $100,000 per year. Now, in which of those two cases do you feel that you will have a higher quality of life? In which of those two cases will you have more resources to go around within the same roof, the same household? Resources that you can influence how they are going to be used. Well, even if you're bad at guessing, I'm gonna tell you, the second household, the one with the higher income, even if it's just two people and you just double the amount, is the one with the highest quality of living, generally speaking. Okay, so you might ask, okay, what does this have to do with occupation for housewives? Okay, let me give you one last example, and that's that. Let's say it's a household of three people. You have two parents and you have a son who is more than 18 years old, is attending college, but is staying with their parents. Now, assuming that their parents are making some kind of income, the quality of life of that son, even though he's not producing any income, is going to be higher simply because he is within a household that has a certain amount of income that will be potentially higher than what he will make if he were just studying by himself and living by himself. Does that make sense? Even if it's not just the money issue, you have different people in the household who can help with things like taking the trash out, painting, doing anything that needs to be done in the home, maybe taking someone somewhere, doing an errand for someone else, doing the laundry. All of those are services, even if they are non-market or non-tradable services, as some economists say. But we don't need to get into that discussion at this point. So what does this mean? It means that for the government, they mostly care about the economics or the unity of the household or the family that lives within the same roof more than the specific individual. So for many potential applications that you do, being a housewife is no issue whatsoever. In fact, as you'll notice, whenever you're trying to get a visa or doing many other types of applications that have to do with governments and other kinds of organizations, you usually get the option of picking one main applicant per family and then potentially having children or a spouse be dependent applicants. In other words, applicants that are added to the main applicant's application, and there is a reason for that. This way, if you are applying along with your spouse or your special other who does have an income, you can potentially just say for your occupation that you are a housewife, and you don't necessarily have to say that having an occupation or an income applies to your case. In fact, you can see examples of people who have just done that, and they have been approved for their visas, because there are many households, many families out there in which you have one main breadwinner, so to speak, whether it's the wife, the husband, or even a kid with dependent parents, and then they are the main applicant, and the others, they are just dependent applicants depending on the application that you're making. So this is something that's not a big deal. In fact, in many applications, sometimes you even have the option, you can choose the option to say that you are a housewife. And if so, then there shouldn't be an issue as long as you're being honest and you're putting the information that they're asking for. Because if you put something like your last job, and your last job was like 13 years ago or 5 years ago, then that may raise some questions as to, are you lying, on what exactly are you saying, and can you give us some more information about your current income and all that stuff. It's better for them to just have a clear idea of who you are. And again, that is something that's very I wouldn't say generic, but it's very standard, just having a housewife and then one person in the family who's making most of the money, so to speak. Very standard, that happens very often, and that shouldn't be an issue in many situations. Now, there is a big caveat here, and that's that this is not legal advice, okay? So basically, there are so many potential cases out there, so many situations of people that could be watching this video or searching for this term online, that I cannot possibly give you advice that is 100% accurate for your situation. So I will recommend you search the website of the government agency that you're applying to see if there are any instructions on how to fill the form. In many cases, there will be specific instructions on what to do if there is a dependent applicant or if there is a mayor applicant himself. And in the case that you are the only person applying, that can also be a question that you can look for within the instructions, or potentially talk to someone within that, I don't know, the embassy or consulate, if it's something that has to do with travel and visas, or the government agency, because it is also in their best interest that you fill out the information to the most honest way possible and the way that gives them the most information, so they can make a good decision and so that you yourself can be a good citizen. Also, you have the option of searching online. Now, I know you probably arrived here by searching online, but at the same time, you don't want to put something that's so general, such as occupation for housewives. That could mean anything. That could be any kinds of applications. Even if you're asking for a visa, for example, going to the United States is not the same as going to Brazil. And it's not the same as you being from the United States or you being from, I don't know, Chile or another country, let's say in Europe or Asia. So at the end of the day, it will be very dependent on your situation. And if you're filling out a form, how exactly are the officials who look at those forms and who process your application, how exactly do they look at it? And yes, I get it. It's kind of silly, like, oh, telling you to go and search online, but really, you need to be considerably more specific about the search terms that you're using. And yes, it will take you considerably longer than just clicking occupation for housewives and picking one of the first three that appear on the first page. But that's another thing that we have to go into, and that's, do spend as much time as you need to, depending on how important this is for you. If this is a very expensive application for like something that has to do with migrating to a different country, or something that has to do with tax filing that could potentially have penalties that could get you in jail, or just have like big fees that you have to pay afterwards for making a mistake, then it might be worth it to spend considerably more time being more specific in your search. You can also potentially, if it's something that can be very costly, consider hiring professionals that work with cases like yours on a day-to-day basis, more than just searching online, if it's something that's going to be very difficult for you. But if it's something, I don't know, less important, like maybe what's your occupation in your national ID document, it depends on the country, but in most countries that's probably not that important unless you get discounts if you're like a student or something like that, in which case you might not even think twice about doing that. Or if someone you go to your dentist office and they ask you what your occupation is, well, that's probably not that important for you or for them. So that's probably not going to be something that you need to take time for. So if you're searching for this, I'm assuming that it is of some importance, that you care about the outcome of the application. If so, then search for it really well online, and I will start with the website that I mentioned before. They probably have instructions on that. Now, comment below about why you need to know what occupations there are for housewives, or what occupation to put in. a form. This takes us to reason number 2. You've been a housewife for some time, but you're looking to enter the workforce again. This will obviously depend on the occupation you want to do, if you've done it before, how long you've been out of the workforce, as well as what kinds of qualifications you have. You also have to ask yourself, are you looking for a traditional job or do you want to do something from home? If it's the latter, then check here for a video that we've done on work from home positions and occupations. Okay, so your situation might be very different from that of another housewife or house husband. So how do we give you advice? There are some best practices that can be very effective in most cases, so I'll cover some of those. First, people tend to hire based on qualifications and personal biases. What does this mean? It means that people tend to hire people who are more like them and who are more like the company that they're in. So for example, if you're going out and you're searching for a company that will take you and you are a housewife who hasn't been on the workforce for several years now, then you might want to search for companies that actually have a program that's specifically geared to getting housewives back on the workforce. Or you might want to look for companies that are more in industries that tend to be more, let's say, female related. If you are a housewife currently and you are a female, and what you want to make sure of is that these companies are more friendly towards people with your background, so that even if you're spinning it off and you're positioning yourself to succeed, it won't be as difficult because the people who are hiring were in your shoes. How much more likely will it be that you'll be selected? Another thing you want to do is look for support groups or training groups. In this case, you can probably just go online and search and see if in your area, preferably, but if not, that's fine, you can find a group of people who are in your position who are geared towards re-entering the workforce. I am pretty sure you will find something online if you search at least 10 minutes. If you don't want to find it like right away on the first page of Google on your first search, then you will be able to find a group online of people with who have had your same challenges, who have gone over it. I could search for it. I haven't done it, but I'm going to leave that to you as homework. And that is, okay, like a group of housewives who re-entered the workforce. And you'll probably be able to network and see online, like what have people who were in your shoes done to be successful already. And this is not something you're gonna do in like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or an hour. This is something that's gonna take a while. If you really care about going back into the workforce and you want to do things that will work for your specific situation, then you gotta do that. You gotta jump on the forums and see what have other people done that has occurred, that has happened, that they've succeeded in getting back into the workforce. What are some people I could network with? And that actually takes us to the third point here, and that's networking. You can network with hiring managers at the firms that you are checking out that you'd like to go to, and that will give you a foot in the door. Especially if they have something in common with you. Maybe they're also female. Maybe they were also a housewife at some point in time and they can relate to you. So let's say you've done your research. You have a long list of companies that are friendly towards people in your position, people who have been housewives for a while. And you've also networked with hiring managers and people who were in your shoes. So you have all the tips and tricks about how exactly to position yourself. You wrote your resume the right way. You practice your interviewing skills so that you can actually answer questions like, okay, so what have you been doing for the past 10 years? And why? And why do you feel like this is a good time to come back? What is it that you have to offer? All those very standard questions. And you have that in the bag. How much more likely will it be that you will actually succeed at what you're trying to do? Also, I forgot to mention this, but one way to network with potential hiring managers and people in HR is just to go on LinkedIn. If you don't have a profile, create one. You can find out how to do that online very easily. Create a group profile, follow the tips that you've researched, and then start talking to people who are hiring managers, connect with them, and start doing some stuff. Now, comment below if you would like me to go into more detail about how to do any of these things that we've mentioned, like networking, interviewing skills, your resumes, or even how to network with hiring managers. And the third reason for why you may have come into this video is that you're a housewife and you want to make an income from your home. I have a whole video on occupations that let you work from home, so remember to check that out. I will put it here in the card somewhere so you can check that out. But in short, you have to think about how much money you want to make, how many hours you want to work, and how much do you want to actually enjoy yourself while you're actually working that work from home job. Maybe you just need a little bit of extra cash, working on a part-time basis, and doing tasks that can be very, very repetitive and you don't really mind. Or maybe you're on the other extreme and you want to start your own business and build something unique that will take time but will last and will give you a greater sense of meaning while paying your bills and allowing some luxuries later on. Those are two different extremes of the kind of person that wants to work from home. We covered these extreme cases in the video I mentioned before, but if you're somewhere in the middle, chances are that you're just looking for a stable extra income working from home, whether it's part-time or full-time. In that case, you can just look into occupations that you can do remotely and apply through job sites. So basically just go into places like Monster.com, like Indeed, LinkedIn jobs, Facebook jobs, and look for positions that say remote. The fact that it's remote means that you can do it from anywhere and means that you won't actually have to be inside the office or inside a specific state in order to do the actual work. And then you can potentially just get a stable income while working from home. How cool is that? Obviously, it's there's a lot more steps to it and how many companies you should apply to, whether you're open to go into entry level. All of those things are more in depth. So if you're interested, subscribe to this channel and we'll publish more videos on this topic so that you can see stuff more in depth. And if not, you can always just comment below and ask us to. So now you know what occupation for housewife can mean and what to do in each of these major cases. If you like this video, remember to hit the like button below, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know whenever a new video comes up. Also, remember to share it with your friends and comment below if anything comes to mind that you feel will be very useful.